One strong portfolio project can get you interviews and land you a job as a data analyst. So in this video, I'm going to take you from never having even touched Python before, all the way to building a real world sales analysis project that looks like something a data analyst would actually present. So this won't just be theory, it's going to be actual real analysis work. And the result is going to look fantastic in your portfolio. Step 1 is just installing Python. It's very straightforward. All you do is go to python.org, you hover over this download section here, and then you click on the latest version which is available for yourself. Once you've clicked that, it will install on the right hand side. You can double click it and then just follow the installation wizard. Just make sure you press add to path here and then hit install now. Once that's done, we can confirm it's been installed by right clicking on our desktop. Here I'm inside my project folder, open in terminal, and then type in python -- version. There we go, you can see this is the version of Python I have installed. So to install Jupyter Notebook, it's equally as simple. You just type pip install notebook. I'm not going to hit enter as I already have it installed, but once it is installed, you can then run it very simply by just typing Jupyter Notebook and hitting enter. You'll see it flash up with a few elements here, but then what it will do is in your web browser, open up Jupyter Notebook. This is going to be the environment we use to access Python. And you can see it's open in the folder location that I was just in, so I can access my sales data as well. What we're going to do is open up a new file. So to do that, hit File, New, and then Notebook. We can name that as well. I'm going to call this Sales Analysis Project. Enter. So the first step is going to be importing and installing our libraries. If you've never used them before, make sure you type pip install and then the name of the library, such as Pandas. And to run that, I hold shift and enter, or I press run at the top. You can see here we've got requirement already satisfied because I already have Pandas. Now, what is a library? It's like a collection of pre-written code, kind of like a toolbox that you can access to help you in your coding, so that you don't have to write everything out by hand every single time. To import it, I just type import pandas and I give it a convention, a little shortcut. Here I've called it PD. You can call that anything you want. Again, like I said, that's just the convention. So we'll also do numpy. People tend to call that NP. We'll do seaborn, and we'll also do matplotlib. Now, if you notice in our folder location, we had this fake sales data. I'm just going to right click that just to get the name of it as well. We can then import that Excel file using Pandas as well. Let's do that here. I'm going to assign it to a variable called df, short for data frame, which is effectively your table you'll be using. So df equals pd, so pandas, we're calling that library, .read Excel, and then the name, I'll copy and paste that in as well. Let's hit enter. Fantastic. I can now take a little look at that data set, and we can now reference that file with df here, the variable name, and we'll do .head. This will give us the top 5 rows of data. You can see it says 4 here on the left hand side, and that's because indexing always starts at 0, so 0 will be 1, and so on. We can see here that we have the ordered dates, we have the category of the product, the actual customer, the sales amount, let's assume this is in pounds, and then the quantity. So for example, on this day, customer D bought a sports product for £495, and he bought 5 of them. So let's check for structure, missing values, and basic stats. In each instance, we're going to reference the data frame and then call a method. Here, we're going to do .info. This will all be using pandas. This is telling me a lot. This is telling me that there are no blanks, no null values in this data, which means it's already relatively clean. There's a total of 1,000 rows, and like we said, no missing values. A couple different data types here. We're dealing with a datetime object with the order date, which we could see from just looking at it. A couple of integers. That means all of these are going to be whole numbers, not float point numbers, and same with the quantity as well. Let's do a df.describe method. This is going to tell us a couple of interesting things right off the bat. Say your manager comes in and they go, I want to know the average sale price overall. Well, we can tell you here, that's £256. In fact, our most expensive sale to date is £499, but people tend to spend a minimum of £21. There's nothing ever been lower than that. We're now going to create a few new columns such as revenue, which we spoke about earlier. So let's do that here. Let's go with the multiplication. So let's do sales times quantity is equal to total revenue. So I'm going to call that column revenue. Data frame revenue is going to be set as equal to df sales times df quantity. Here we go. Let's hit enter on that. Now, what that's done is it's popped up with a few things. Immediately it said there's an error. It's quite easy to read errors in Python. We can look down here and say, the key error is sales. It doesn't think that's a column. And that's actually because Python is very picky. It's going to go, that doesn't exist. Well, that's because we didn't capitalize the S. And now it's going, quantity doesn't exist. Well, it's exactly the same issue. If I was to capitalize that, you might say, it still doesn't exist. But that's because I spelt it wrong. So spelling and capitalization are very important, otherwise it'll get very fussy. If I rerun the data frame head with df.head, you'll now see I have that new column here. So if you were to do this by hand, 30 times 6 is 180. Cool, so these are two additional columns. Again, if we just run that data frame head here, let's do df.head, we can see we've also added in the month and weekday name. We've extracted both of those with these Panda methods here from the order date. Cool, that's going to be useful later. And now we can answer some real business questions. You see, looking at this myself, I'd be quite interested to know what the sales is, the overall value for each category. Which category is selling the most? So let's do that here. We're going to do category is equal to df.groupby. We're going to do a group by method here. Bring back in that category, and we're going to group the category by revenue as we had just said. So now we'll bring the square brackets, and we want the total sum as well. Now, what has that done? If I just type the word category, you can see beauty has sold this much, clothing this much, and so forth. It would be good if we could order and visualize that. So we're going to do a bar plot here using Seaborn or SNS. The x-axis is going to be from that category group by. It's going to be category dot values, which is going to be the values from that. And then we're going to do the y-axis as well, which we're going to set equal to the index. So category dot index. If we hit run on that, here you go. You might be wondering why I've not capitalized the C there, and it's worked because typically it wouldn't. But it's actually not referencing the category column in and of itself. What it's referencing is this variable here. So I could call that anything. I could call that ABC. And then this would be ABC values and ABC.index. It would work just the same. We could then call matplotlib to manipulate this Seaborn visual. And we can call the title something useful like revenue by category. Now here we go. This is cool. It would be good to actually sort the values as well. So let's do .sort values. Fantastic. And there we go. So we can see our highest selling product by category is sports. Our smallest is actually home, but it's quite tied with beauty there too. So this is going to help the business decide where to focus the marketing and their inventory. So let's do something very similar. In fact, I can copy and paste this and sort of steal it there. Let's call it something useful. I'm going to actually call it customers. Same here. And instead of category, we just want to call customer by revenue and revenue by customer. So very quickly hitting enter, we've just generated a new visual, but we can see customer C is spending the most with us. So in real companies, this is used for retention analysis. Let's now take a look at how performance changes over time, because this might not be the case every single month. This is just the total. So I'm going to create a new group by called monthly. Let's do that here. Monthly is going to be equal to df.groupby. We're not trying to buy a bed, so let's delete DFS. We're going to group the month column, which we created earlier, by revenue. Group by is really powerful. You can see really quickly how you can start to use this in lots of different ways. And we're going to call .sum as well. So we could then visualize this by typing monthly if we just wanted to see right off the bat. Here we go. It's not ordered at the moment, so we're going to fix that in a moment. Let's do that here, actually. Let's do order. We're going to set that equal to a list here, where January is the first item. Then we have February. And then we have March, and so forth. Cool. We can now order it by that as well. So we just call it .reorder. So we go to monthly, which is that variable from a second ago. It's going to be set to monthly.reindex and then by order. Cool. So now if I was to pass through monthly, we should, fantastic, have it written down by month. We can plot this now. I'm going to plot it with a line graph just to switch it up a little bit. We're going to use Seaborn yet again, but this time use a line plot rather than a bar plot. And we're going to again use x is equal to monthly.index. The y, you should be able to guess, is going to be set to monthly.values. And then we can also set a marker as well. So let's do markers equal to 0. What this means is it's going to be that little dot there. You could change it to an X if you'd fancy. Doesn't look great in this case, so let's do that here. Interesting. Not exactly useful right now. It's very squished together. There's no title on it. We'll want to improve that. So let's go up here. We're going to set a title, first of all. As we already know how to do that, it's very simple. We're going to call it monthly sales. It's still a little bit smushed, so I'm going to fix that here with plt.xticks. Then rotation is equal to 45, and you're going to see that's just going to stretch it out for us there. Brilliant. So now we can see our highest earning month is May. We've actually taken a real dip there in October time, and that might be for a reason. Maybe that's reoccurring year on year. I actually don't know. It will be interesting to plot this by year as well. We can do a very similar calculation here. In fact, I can just copy that. And whenever we have monthly, I can change it to weekly. Let's bring in that new column that we have as well, which was just called weekday. I can delete these like that. Delete that as well. And we're just going to plot weekly to look at the weekly sales. Let's hit enter. Cool. So we can now see that, okay, we actually peak here on a Tuesday, quite significantly actually. We do really poorly on a Friday, maybe ending the week. People don't want to buy so much with us. Good to know. If we wanted to, we could order that as well, just in the exact same way as we have here. So let's build our final table here. Let's summarize everything we've worked on into actual business insights that executives could walk away with to a meeting and then make decisions from. This is what turns data to decisions. Let's call this insights, because why not? We can open up a curly bracket. We can actually cancel it out here as well. So everything's going to be nicely inside of here. Let's just hit enter just to format it nicely. What would they be interested to see? Probably the top category, probably also the top customer. Let's do top month and top day as well. Cool. With all of these, I'm going to add some colons here. And then we'll do just the name of the variables we called earlier. So category.idx max. Make sure that we do add a comma at the end. Customers, we just call that customers. Top month, I believe we called it monthly. And finally, day, we called that one weekly. Here we go. .idx max. With this last one, we make sure not to add the curly brackets. We can now call insights, shift enter, and here we go. Our top category was sports. Our top customer was customer C. The best month we had for revenue was in May, and the top day was Tuesday. So let's make sure on the next Tuesday in May, when we see customer C, let's offer him some sports products. Fantastic. If you followed along, you now have a complete portfolio ready data analysis project in Python. You can add this to your CV, your portfolio website, or even bring it up at an interview. If you want, I've made this available as a downloadable project pack with a dataset, notebook, and all of the finished code linked below. Thanks very much for watching.